day packed with news. It was kind of a roller coaster of news, right? There was good news, there was bad news, there was questionable news, there was news that made you go, what? And some news that you were probably happy about. And I think what you were most happy about is the fact that Grant Nelson is returning. So that's point number 5. I'm on board. And I'm going to take your calls today. And then I got Ty Hayes from Around the Table Sports joining me right here on Bama Football on YouTube at 9:30. So I kind of listed the topics by way I wanted to hash them out. And I put the basketball ones at 5 and 6. Not because basketball is by any means a backseat. It's just I'm like a systematic person. I organize everything by category. So Bama Football on YouTube, we start out with football. Peyton Woodyard into the transfer portal, and that came out yesterday. Let me ask you, undefeated, were you surprised to see Peyton Woodyard enter the transfer portal? And from my understanding, prospects will have up until Wednesday in the evening time to still put in that paperwork. So we still could see some names going into the transfer portal. I think it's been relatively low, but Peyton Woodyard, I think, is a name that caught everybody's ear and made kind of people say, what? So were you surprised? Type yes or Y if you were surprised about Peyton Woodyard entering the transfer portal. I was surprised, to be honest. And the way the sequence of news happened yesterday, Cameron Howard committed to Alabama, and he's a prospect out of Charlotte. He played in 12 games last season. I appreciate you, Larry Large, for renewing your Fan Funder account right here on Bama Football on YouTube. We always appreciate you, and thank you so much. So, we're kind of getting to that point where if you need to renew your membership, go ahead and do that. We appreciate you guys. So Cameron Howard comes in, and we're excited about it, right? And I think, you see he played in 12 games, a freshman, and from what I understand, people were excited because he's a ball hawk. So you kind of look at the scholarship numbers, and if you've been tracking it, you see that put Alabama, I think they put him at 86, right? And what numbers are going to work itself out. So then later in the day, we find out that, number one, Ed Woods will be making a prediction today, and that is between Michigan State and by Alabama. And I won't keep you waiting. Ed Woods has been predicted to commit to Michigan State after his visit up in East Lansing. So you're kind of looking at the numbers, and then at the back end of the day, you have 2 pieces of news that flew out. And the first was that Peyton Woodyard was hitting the transfer portal. He's a talented freshman. And then the second piece of news is point number 4 was Elijah Pritchett was arrested. So let's start at the top again. Peyton Woodyard is leaving the program, and he has a do not contact tag, meaning he already knows where he's going to go. Similar to what Caden Proctor has, when he entered the portal. Like, do not reach out to me. I already know I'm going back to Alabama. I think with Peyton Woodyard, I have no idea why he is transferring. I think, is he ready to play right now? Probably not. But in time, he can be developed here, and he could probably play sooner than later. This season, just because he might not start game 1, game 2, doesn't mean that he's not going to get quality time this year. I think he's a prospect that has a lot of upside. And now you look to that secondary, an area that was already depleted, right? And I get it. Alabama has had some really good additions to the secondary. Damani Jackson and Keon Sabb are names most notable. And now you have Cameron Howard. But this is a really good point. Why invest in developing players anymore? They're always going to bail on you. I guess unless you can match or exceed NIL, no wonder Saban quit. This is ridiculous. And I think there's probably a right to be frustrated about the transfer portal and about guys who you're really excited about. Think about this. If you put money into, one of these collectives to get these certain players or to help kind of the cause, and these players, and I don't know all the specifics on how it works, but if they're able to get paid for some point of time and then they leave, I think it makes you frustrated. And I think what is also frustrating is that it's harder and harder, and we'll see this more and more, is that if a player doesn't earn a starting spot right out the gates, then they're likely to seek other pastures. Now, we've learned that the grass isn't always greener. But I think right now, and I'm not saying that Peyton Woodyard has any sort of entitlement. I'm just saying I think entitlement does exist, right? I think players expect to come somewhere and play immediately. And if they don't play immediately, then that is frustrating for them. And I think the people in their back end as well are also talking to them, right? The handlers, the parents, because they know that the money exists. Hey, let's go here because we can get paid big bucks and you can play right away. So tampering, does it exist? 1,000,000%. And that's kind of the world that we live in. Let's take a call right now, and then I'll get back to point 2 and 3. It's a 256. Hey, Coach Darryl, thank you very much for calling in. Your thoughts on Peyton Woodyard hitting the transfer portal. Go for it, man.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm not surprised at all. And the reason I'm not surprised is out. These kids have been entitled since they were in junior high school. They got their way. They got what they wanted. And they are used to getting what they want. And if they don't get it, they're going to pout. And they're going to be a cancer. And good thing for the transfer portal. Because it gets rid of people, and I hate to use that term on this young man, but that's just what I see. I mean, these kids today, they come in, they expect to be promised something. One of the first things Julio Jones said when he was recruited, the reason I came to Alabama, Coach Saban was the first coach that didn't promise me anything. I had to work for it, like everybody else. Mm. And today's kids, they don't want to do it. You know, I'm a 5-star. I made this All-American team, this high school All-American team. Why? And then when they get there and they realize that, you know what? You a 5-star, but there are 20 other 5-stars here. Mm. I got to work my way. I got to wait my time. You know, they don't look at examples like my guy from Phillips from Alabama that won the Heisman Trophy, Smith, he had to wait his turn. Derrick Henry had to wait his turn. Mark Ingram split time for his rookie year, his freshman year rather. So these kids, then as you said, they got all of this with the NIL now. You got advisors and family members and telling you, man, you better get that money. Yep. You better get as much money as you can. And they're using you. And I get it. I understand some of that. I understand some of that is true. But at the end of the day, when are you going to be responsible? When are you going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I should stay and stick it out and let's see what happens.
Sure.
Let's see if they develop me. Let's see if I can develop myself. Let's see if I can develop into a man. Let's see if I can develop some character. Let's see if my word is my bond. Mm. Let's see if I can develop into that type of person. And they're going to be far and few between now because people are after money. It's almost like and this is going to sound a strange a correlation. I was reading some years ago on Kim Kardashian. I did not know that she had been married about 4 years out of high school, and the reason that the guy that said that they divorced, she was dead set on being famous. Mm. Well, a lot of these kids are dead set on being in the NFL, and they think the way to get there is by hook or crook or whatever I can do. I want to develop myself as soon as possible into playing, even though I may not be ready, even though I might get out here and get burnt. I might get out here and have a bad year and lose my confidence. They don't think about that. Mm. They don't. That's why it's called coaching. You're being coached. Mm-hmm. You're being developed to be the best person you can be the best citizen you can be the best football player you can be. It's coaching. Someone has to guide you. If no one had to guide you, then you could do it yourself. Mm-hmm. But you have to have a coach, and they're not understanding that link. And that's why we are where we are now, and I don't see it getting any better.
Coach, I appreciate the call. I'll answer on the other line. I'm going to get another call, but I appreciate you leading off the show this morning. That's Coach Darryl. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
All right.
Take my next call in just a second. Building off on what Coach Darryl just said, I think he brings up a really interesting point in regards to players not understanding that they could be developed here at Alabama or anywhere else. And let me ask you this, Undefeated, inside the comment box, and thank you very much, Patriot Life, for gifting 5 Bama football memberships right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Let me ask everybody inside the comment box. This is for you, Undefeated. Do you feel, and this isn't just if you're leaving Alabama, this is if you're leaving Miami, this is if you're leaving Ohio State, and you just got there as a freshman. Do you think that if you leave, you are kind of slowing down your developmental process to get ready for the SEC, for the Big Ten, for the NFL? It's almost kind of like you're holding yourself back. I feel that whether a player is here at Alabama, if they're, at Michigan, and you are a freshman, and more than likely, you are not ready to play your freshman year. Guys like Caleb Downs, Caden Proctor, it is super rare for a freshman to be able to see the field right away. We all know that, right? Have you ever just walked into an organization and all of a sudden you're the vice president or you're the president or the CEO? No, it takes time. And you have to get sharpened by competing against other people every single day. So when you just jump in and you don't know the system and you don't get developed, it slows you down when you're hopping to another company, right? You're hopping to another school. And I think also what Coach Darryl said, and something that I said, and what's up, Adam Lamprella? I like the new updated avatar. I strongly feel, and what do you think about this, Undefeated, as well? Do you feel that some of these prospects, I would say it's a higher percentage of prospects, leave or enter the transfer portal because they have somebody in the back talking, hey, we're not talking about, you're not playing you. You're not going to get playing time. And you can get paid somewhere else. I've already been contacted. You can get paid right away here and play right away here. So I think sometimes the handlers who are still controlling the freshman and 18-year-old, the parents, are sending them elsewhere to get money and to play somewhere else where they can probably be less developed. Hey, Jay Townsend, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in. Good morning to you. Thanks for calling in. Go ahead, man.
Hey, man, this is Glenn from Montreal.
Oh, Glenn, my bad. Glenn, welcome in, Glenn from Montreal. Glenn, I appreciate you joining us. Your thoughts on kind of the transfer portal or any of the points on the board today. Go ahead, man.
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is that those kids don't create this culture we live in. I mean, we'll live in a culture of sticking to things or intrinsic values. We're so externally focused. It's incredible. And these kids are just a product of it. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to cut them a little slack. Not to say that we shouldn't push them to be have intrinsic morals or values or hard work, but we don't create a culture that instills that in them. You understand? We expect them to come up with that with themselves. And I'm going to tell you, every coach I ever had and every kid I ever coached never knew that the standard was what they thought was playing hard and what the coach thought was playing hard was always two different things. And we don't have that anymore in society. We don't have loyalty and work. Corporations are laying people off. It's universal. And we're just seeing it now in college athletics. And it's sad. It's the end of an era in college athletics, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And until we change how we deal with our young people, until we stop, we don't develop them. We have all these AAU programs. Kids are playing more games than they are practicing. It's just insane what we're doing. These 7-on-7s and in high school football, it's not, we're playing grass basketball and not hitting each other anymore. It's just a whole different world. And it's hard for an old person, especially like myself, to kind of come to grips and understand it because it's far beyond our experience. And these things that are just so different now than they were we played or even when we coached. One of the great things about DeBoer is I think that he is actually coming to grips with these things. Creating a family, understanding that, toughness matters, right? I mean, a world where toughness matters.
Mm.
I mean, imagine how alien that is to the average high school kid playing video games, doesn't have a job. You know, like I hear you talk about your kid, the pride you have in your own kid having a job.
Yeah.
Like how many have a job now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a whole different animal. You know, I started delivering papers when I was 6, and I don't want to be the guy that says I walked uphill 2 ways in the snow or something. But, you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you start working at a young age, you're going to understand the value of work. And that's not part of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing I'd like to say, actually, I have 2 things. I'd like to hear you respond to something. But one of the things is I'd like to talk about, you know, the basketball team. Imagine what those practices are going to be like with all that we've recruited. I mean, there's going to be some heavy competition in them practices. And, you know, the Oates being able to bring in the whole new defensive notion to the team that we didn't get until the latter part of the season last year. I think he's going to have a lot of ears because there's going to be a lot of struggle for playing time. I mean, you know, just looking at, you know, starting 5, where does Reitzel sitting at? You know, I mean, you know, and he's a damn handful.
Hell,
you know?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I just I look forward to, you know, I also look forward to, you know, having more bodies to put in the game of the basketball and what that means in terms of him being able to speed up the pace of play. It's going to be, if you thought we were fast last year, wait till you see the Maserati that comes out this year at Philly. And then the last thing I'd like to say or ask you about is, do you think we're going to see any more people come in on the football transfer portal before we field our final 85?
Yeah. I'll answer on the other line, Glenn, but I appreciate you calling in from Montreal, man. Always a good call and good feedback, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Glenn brings up some great points, and I think, you know, kind of shares the same sentiment with a lot of us talking about the transfer portal. And I also feel that with the basketball team, what Glenn said is spot on. I mean, can you imagine the practices that are about to take place? And I think this basketball team is only getting better. I think that this next set of, you know, this entire roster, I can't even imagine how ultra talented it is going to be under Nate Oates. I mean, like you said, right side. I mean, sometimes you have Grant Nelson coming back, which was monumental news. You want to break the internet. How about Mark Sears coming back? I don't know if he is, but I mean, he likely could. And I've been saying this for the last 3 days since I saw his highlight tape. LeBaron Philon, that young man, the ball handling skills that he has is an elite level. I'm talking like NBA level point guard style. I'm serious. I mean, check it out. I mean, you could put him at the 1, you could put Sears at the 2, you could put Reitzel at the 3, Grant Nelson at the 4, and then your 5 is maybe a big man that you bring in. Could it be Amori? I mean, that team would be unbelievable. That would be an upgrade from last year. Did I just name the starting 5? And I know you can kind of rotate in and out of that, but that is exciting. So, yeah, kind of breaking it all down. I appreciate the call from Montreal. Next up, we got a 201, and we'll take that 201 right now. Hey, good morning. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How you doing?
What's up, Adam? I appreciate you calling in this morning. Hope you're having a good Tuesday, April 30th, man. Take it away. Come with it.
Yeah, thanks. I agree with the sentiments of your prior caller. I mean, our society, and it's manifesting in college football, these kids don't have values. They don't know the value of hard work, toughness, overcoming adversity. You see it in college football. I mean, look what's going on in these college campuses at Columbia, at UCLA. Total lack of respect for authority. And you know what? It's going to lead to the decline in our society if kids don't have those old school values, and the parents, the teachers, and the coaches to instill that in them. But on another, like, football note, here's my question for you. We have a pretty thin secondary, but we have an extreme amount of talent with those incoming 5-star defensive backs. Why don't we just stick with them and develop them? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to have some growing pains, okay? But we start off with Western Kentucky. Then we have South Florida. Then we have Wisconsin. I think we should have more faith in them and commit to them and to developing them, because by the end of the season, that could lead to a really, really outstanding secondary and getting us into the playoff where, combined with our offense and our defensive line, we could compete. I just don't think getting a transfer or, this patchwork approach is going to make a difference. Why aren't we just investing in them, taking our growing pains, and growing as a team?
Yeah, I think when you take in a player like Cameron Howard, I would imagine it worked like this, because I think he does play the safety position. So, and I think Peyton Woodyard would have played the safety position. So I think that, and I don't know how this worked out exactly, but I would imagine Peyton Woodyard informed this coaching staff that he's going in the portal. So, the coaching staff had to fill up on depth and had to go into the portal and see who was available. And Cameron Howard is kind of, the patchwork, like you said, because I think overall, Peyton Woodyard is the higher rated prospect, but Cameron Howard does have the experience. And I think that they need experience. But I think you're right. I mean, the investing in the freshman is the most important thing, but you also have to have, Adam, like the freshmen that want to be developed, right? Like they have to be here and wait. And I think that is so hard for these guys right now. I think it's going to be harder and harder every single year because of the rules and the parameters and the NIL and the fact that these guys can get paid and the tampering. I mean, think about this. And again, I don't know if this is true, but this what would lead me to believe that Peyton Woodyard, with a no contact clause, right? So he enters the transfer portal with a no contact. Does that mean, and help me out with this, Undefeated, and I want to get your thoughts on this too, Adam. Does that mean that he already knows where he's going to, which would mean to me that somebody has already reached out to him and they already have a deal, right? He's not even going to explore the transfer portal. So does that mean like something happened behind the scenes? That's what that leads me to believe. What do you think on that, Adam? Does that what that mean to you?
I think it strongly suggests that there was tampering, just like there was with Proctor, and that really needs to be addressed. But one thing I'll say is this, when you tell kids that you believe in them, that you have faith in them, that you're going to develop them, you improve their self-esteem and their confidence, and you get them to be motivated to be successful. When these freshman DBs see transfers coming in, all it's going to do is discourage them. They want to know that their coaches believe in them. Just like Milrose said about Nick Sheridan, he believes in me. When you bring in other people, it sends a message to them that we don't think that you're going to be able to have impact this year, and that kind of disincentivizes them to really push themselves to be the best they can be.
Yeah.
But those are just my thoughts. Thanks for another great show, and I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, no doubt, Adam. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, good calls this morning. I appreciate, Coach Darryl, Glenn from Montreal, Adam from Georgia calling in this morning right here on Bama Football on YouTube. This is a point that I was also thinking about, and, here are the points on the board that we're talking about. Peyton Woodyard into the transfer portal. Cameron Howard, he committed to Alabama yesterday. Ed Woods, the prediction we said earlier in the show, is to Michigan State, not to Alabama. Elijah Pritchett, who was arrested, if you're just joining us and you're like, how was he arrested? This is the second time that he's been arrested within 6 months. He was arrested, according to, I think it was Tide 100.9 that had the report. He was arrested during the weekend for speeding down on the Strip. That's all I really know about that. Grant Nelson, that was other news that broke. And Amori and Unyenzo, he's Ugana Yenzo. He's the big man from Kentucky. He entered the portal. He's been forecasted to go to Alabama, but he is testing the waters with the NBA draft. Amori, Clifford Amori, is the prospect out of Rutgers, Nigerian descent. He's 6'11", 245 pounds, and he was on campus yesterday. So I think if he's added to this equation of what Nate Oates has, I mean, I can't even imagine how talented this team would be, but that's kind of what we're tracking today on Bama Football on YouTube, and I appreciate you guys being here. I'll take another call. Ed Woods is expected to commit later today, and I just saw this morning that he's been forecasted to commit to Michigan State. So Chasing Bass, that's awesome, man. Chasing Bass, that's what's up. I would love to go. I love bass fishing. We have T in the house too. T, what's up?
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, T. What's the bass? It's not Bass Pro. It's the Bassmasters. Bassmasters, right?
The fishing tournament.
Yeah, the fishing tournament. I would love to go check that out.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah. When does that happen?
It just happened, I think, like
It was,
months
yeah,
ago.
okay. All right. Online with him, where are you calling in from?
Hey, good morning, Kyle. It's Coach Al. How you doing?
Coach Al, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. It's good to rap with you, man. I always appreciate you joining us, part of the Undefeated. Coach Al, by way of Tuscaloosa, now out in the ATL, man. Come with it. What's on your mind, man? Take it away.
Oh, just loving the show as always. Thanks for having me on. I totally appreciate it, one of the things we talk about this portal since we're talking about it. But, one of the things that kind of turned to me is I'm always looking to look at the glass half full to keep it on the positive things. I love what Alabama has because I could be wrong. This is a prediction I'm trying to make here because I've been thinking about this thing. That we have the greatest of all time still in the mix with great vision. That's the thing here. Greg Byrne, great vision. Coach KD, great vision. Courtney Morgan and staff behind the scenes. I think that Alabama is about to just shock everybody with this new landscape that we're dealing with a model that nobody's ever seen because they have these kind of visionaries in place. And I'm kind of talking vision here because I've been looking at this thing. If Coach DeBoer can actually go to Washington and take guys and his staff, develop 10 guys in the draft that we just saw with those guys, then what we do with Alabama with that mix, you combine that kind of skill and expertise and leadership and vision. Okay, so guys want to come and go and do whatever. We're going to have the ultimate crucible to develop talent on the football field with guys that we can actually go in and scout. Like, for instance, I would go out and scout guys and break them down and know I can look at the potential on them and know that they had a work ethic to be developed. So they don't want to come in with a 3-year plan like some of these guys. That's why these freshmen come in that are 5 stars and whatnot. We got a 3-year plan. I'm 3 years and I'm out to the NFL because I'm going to start as a freshman. But when that doesn't work, this current environment allows them to bounce with no repercussion. Okay, we don't want you no way if you want to do that. We want the guys that want to be built by Bama, that wants to put the work in and wants to be developed so they're ready to roll. So I think, this is me. Nobody's told me this. Nobody's saying this. This is Al Sanderson. I think we have the best possible combination of visionaries, people who actually have done it successfully in football, and guess what? Now in basketball. So that makes the brand so rock solid. We're going to get the NIL thing fixed from that side, from the NIL collective that we got. And we're going to be preempted to be how we react to whatever regulatory requirements come down. We're going to be ahead of it because we're going to be in behind it. They already asked Nick to burn to Congress to get on it. I mean, we're on the inside. This is just me casting a vision. But I think that we're going to be way ahead of everybody when this thing really rolls out. It's not a X and O football thing we always talk about. This is just me. This is how I think. I'm always trying to cast a vision to be predictive about how to gain a competitive advantage, but also create a system like Nick did, actually blows everybody out of water.
Coach, I appreciate you calling. Yeah, no, I appreciate the context. I'll answer on the other side, and I'm going to bring in Ty Hayes, man. But I appreciate you calling, and always good to rap with you right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Appreciate you, Coach.
Always. We'll talk soon.
All right, man.